Hello everyone, this is Professor Robertsolis and welcome to the part 2 of our Introduction to PowerPoint presentation. We already created 6 slides and we have the introduction, we have a title slide, then we have an introduction slide, then we have our 3 body point slides, and then we have a conclusion slide. Now the thing I don't like about our presentation is that it's very bland looking, it's got a white background and mediocre looking font. Let's see if we can spice things up a little bit. So what I want you to do is I want you to click the Design tab. And then in the Design tab you'll see several themes that are available. And all you have to do is just hover on top of them to get a preview of what they look like. Now if you want to see more themes, click this button here. And then you can, again, just simply hover on top of them and you get a chance to see a preview of each of these different themes. Now in this case, go ahead and select this one over here called Trek. So we'll select Trek, and now notice that all of your slides in your presentation have changed in terms of their theme. Let's take a look at what this looks like in the slide view or slideshow view. So I'm going to click this button over here, or I could press F5 on the keyboard, and there's slide number 1. Again, notice the tremendous difference now as I go from slide to slide. There's my animation, here's some more information about animals and colors and so forth, and then I have my conclusion. And then finally when I hit my right arrow to go to the next screen, it finally takes me to this last screen. I can either press escape on the keyboard or I can click to exit out of the presentation, and now I'm back in my design mode. So these themes are professionally created for you to use. There's also an opportunity, if you want to, you can browse more of the themes on Microsoft's website, so I'll let you try that out. Most of these themes pretty much do it for a majority of the people. These are really nice looking themes. Okay, so that's how we make the presentation look a little bit better. Another thing we can do is we can change the transition from slide to slide. For example, when I click this button over here, or when I press F5, and when I go from this slide to this slide to this slide, notice that it's a very abrupt transition from slide to slide. Well, there's one way that we can change that, and the way we're going to do that is by clicking the Transitions tab. Now what the Transitions tab is responsible for is how we transition from one slide to the next. So if I were to select cut, say for example, or fade or push, these are various transition effects. So let me go ahead and click the more button so I can take a look at all of the different transitions. And let's say that I'm going to go through to fade through black. So I have fade over here, and let's see, let me click that one. And let's see what happens. Let me go ahead and click this slideshow button, and now you can see how the presentation kind of fades into view, and then when I go to the next slide, nothing's going on. Well, the reason why is when I select a transition, it's only good for that particular slide. If I want it to apply to all of the slides, then I have to click apply to all. So in this case, with fade selected, I click apply to all, and now notice that there's a little star over here indicating that there's a transition for each of these slides. So now when I press F5, or when I click this button here, now when I go from slide to slide, you'll see that there is a fade transition from slide to slide. Okay, that looks much better as we transition from slide to slide. Okay, so I'll let you play around with the transitions to see some of the different, very interesting looking transitions. One of the things that I want to do specifically for slide number 2, I don't like how my talking points automatically appear. As soon as I get to the introduction slide, users now know that I'm going to be talking about cars, colors, and animals. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So when I start the presentation, here's the title slide. Here's slide 2. Already I'm giving away what I want to talk about. I'm going to talk about cars, colors, and animals. I don't want this. What would be better is to have cars appear first, then colors, and then animals upon a mouse click, say for example, so that I don't tip off the audience. Well, how do I do that? Well, what you'll want to do first is you'll want to place your cursor somewhere in the text box. Just make sure that the content of the text box is selected. And then you're going to click on the Animations tab. Now with the Animations tab, we can create all kinds of different animations. So here's one called Fade and Fly In, and you can see the preview of what it actually looks like. And then if you want to see more options for the animations, you just simply click the More button, and then you can see there's 3 different sections here. We have entrance animations, emphasis, and then exit animations. Well, I just want to have an effect on the entrance of an animation. I just want it to appear. But I want it to appear one line by one line, and I want it to have a very subtle effect. So for example, I'll select fade in this particular case. Okay, so I select fade. And so now what's going to happen is when I select slide number 1, and when I click the slideshow button, Watch what happens when I get to slide number 2. Okay, so let me right arrow. Here's the introduction. Wow, I don't see any of my bullets. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you my introduction. First, we're going to talk about, okay, click here. We're going to talk about cars, and then blah, blah, blah. I talk about cars. Now I press the mouse again. Now we're going to talk about colors, and blah, blah, blah. Then we talk about animals. So do you see how that works out? Let me press escape. That was really nice how we were able to show this bullet first, then this one second, then this one third, because we applied a custom animation. So that's how you do that. When you want a particular text box to show line item by line item, then you just simply go to animations and select whatever one you want. Notice that how are we going to start this? On click. So in other words, either when I click the mouse or when I press one of these arrows like the down arrow or the right arrow, only then will it go to the next bullet point. And that's exactly what I want. So we'll leave that as is. Okay, so another thing that we want to do is maybe we want some animation for the cars. Now I know that we did something like that for the animals, right? I applied this type of animation where it moves from right to left, but maybe I want something even crazier than that. Maybe I want this car to kind of jump around the screen, say for example. How can I do that? So what I'll do is I'll select this car, and what we're going to do is we're still going to give this thing a custom animation. So let me go ahead and click on this. Let me click on Animations tab, and then I'm going to click on Add Animation. Now you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and you'll see that we have motion paths, and this one says lines. Okay, so we have custom path, actually. That's the one that we want, custom path. Okay, so I select custom path, and let's say that the start point's right here. I'm going to click and hold down the mouse. I want it to go down like this, and then I want it to go up, and then up, and down, up, and down, up, and then woo, 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 and then back over here, and I let go of the mouse. And now we're going to see the behavior of that. So what I'll do is I'll just I'll double click. So click, click. There we go. So now it goes through that path and it ends right there. Okay, so that looks pretty cool. So as you can see here, I can make a custom animation path. And then if this is too fast, well, I'm going to click the animation pane and I'm going to click down over here. And for this one, I'm going to say let's affect the timing here, or maybe some effect options. So if I click the effect options over here, you can see how I can have a smooth start at the beginning, smooth start at the end. I can make this thing have enhancements. If I click on timing, when does this thing start? Does it start on the click? Is there a delay? What's the duration? I'm going to change the duration. I'm going to make this thing very, very slow. So let me click OK. And notice now that this thing moves very, very slow compared to last time. Okay, that looks pretty cool. And I think I'm just going to leave that as is. So let's see what happens when I start the slideshow. Starting from slide 1, so I'm going to click this slideshow button. Here's slide number 1. Nice transition into slide number 2. Notice now we have the custom animation for the 3 bullets for the introduction slide. And then when we get to the car slide, I'm going to now click the mouse, and now the car goes through the path that I gave to it, right? That custom animation path. You can do that for any of the objects on the screen. And then of course we go to slide number 4, and then finally the conclusion slide. There it is. Okay, let me press escape. Alright, so that's our presentation. I like it. Looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and save this presentation. So what I'm going to have you do is click the File tab and then click Save As. And we're going to save this thing as, let's say, CSIS 130 presentation Lab 1. Something like that. Okay, so I click the Save button and then give it a couple seconds. And then you'll see that the title now changes to CSIS 130 Presentation Lab 1. And so you are finished with this presentation. Okay, so this is Professor Robert Solis. I hope this video lesson was helpful. Have a good day. We'll see you next time.